Hi, my name is Des Jackson. I have recently retired and I'm single and live on my own in South Africa. I was born here and my dad died when I was about 5, and Mom remarried a man who lived in the then Rhodesia, and so I grew up there and all my schooling was done there. I'm making this video because I'm passionate about freedom. Why? Well, for me and others like me who live with a disability, when working I've had to get up that much earlier in the morning for work because it takes that much longer to get up and get dressed, and I need help with things like dressing and washing and doing my hair. So my life has had to be very disciplined and run on a timetable because of needing help in my interaction with others. And it's for this reason that freedom is so important to me. At the age of 6, I was diagnosed with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, and after many tests, the professor told my mom that I would be totally bedridden by the time I was 21. Because I had a very aggressive form of rheumatoid arthritis. At the age of 19, I found my own personal faith, and that changed my life. So after school, I went to theological college for 3 years, and then I went to work in Bulawayo as a missionary. By my mid-20s, I had opened a home and rehabilitation center for women on the streets. And by my late 20s, I was still doing this work, but now from a wheelchair. And I was still out on the streets on a Friday and Saturday night, making contact and talking to these women. It was during the time that I was in the wheelchair and doing this work that a friend came to me one day and told me, in fact, she challenged me. She said, Desiree Jackson, you have no right to be sitting in that wheelchair. In the hospital where I'm doing my training, we replace people's knees and they can walk again. And she said, I'm leaving, I'm going back to Johannesburg on Friday. If you want me to make arrangements for you to come down and have this done, let me know by Friday at 2 o'clock. Well, it was quite a challenge, and I prayed about it, and I phoned her and said, yes, make the arrangements. And I went down, and the professor there saw my x-rays, and he said, look, I can see that you're in great pain, and we're going to do the surgery. It will relieve the pain, but you will not walk again. I said, Professor, I came down here to get my knees so that I can walk, and I will walk again. And he said, no, my dear, anyone who has not walked for a continuous period of 9 months will never walk again. And you've been in a wheelchair continuously for 18 months and in a wheelchair for 3 years, but continuously for 18 months, so you're not going to walk. I argued with him, and he said, look, I'm going to have to send a psychologist to speak to you because you're going to get very depressed when it doesn't happen. I said, Prof, you can send anybody to speak to me and I will tell them the same story. He shook his head and walked out. I had the surgery, and 3 days after my second knee was done, I began to walk. They brought a walker that I could lean my elbows on because my arms are not strong enough to support my weight. And I leaned on that and began to take my first few steps in 18 months. By the 7th day, I was very slowly, but nevertheless, I was walking down the passage. And this is 34 years later, and I'm still walking. So I thank God for that. Anyway, getting back to my work. I loved the work I was doing, but that work came to a natural end after about 6 years, and I knew I had to get a career. So I studied and did my Chartered Corporate Secretary final exams and qualified. And for the next 25 years, I worked in the accounting stream. I worked for a group of manufacturing companies in Zimbabwe as group accountant, and then after a few years as finance director. And then found I had to leave Zimbabwe and come to South Africa because my doctor, my orthopedic surgeon, was going to open a clinic overseas. And up until that stage, I'd had 23 corrective surgeries, and I needed a doctor. So I had to leave Zimbabwe and come to South Africa, and I continued in the accounting field in various organizations, and for the past 14 years in the housing sector, and in the past few years in particular doing project accounting. I retired from work at the end of November, but this is where a great amount of pain came in, because I retired without a pension, and it was very, very scary. It's not as if I was irresponsible. In Zimbabwe, I had 2 company pensions and 3 retirement annuities, but I will never see a cent of those because Zimbabwe is broken and bankrupt. So I came to South Africa at the age of 50, and instead of, because I worked in an NGO type companies, helping others and serving others, that's what motivates me and gets me going. But they didn't have pension funds, and I didn't want another Zimbabwe situation. So I invested in property. But that was about a year before the 2008 crash, worldwide crash. I'm still suffering negatively because of the consequences of that. The properties are now a millstone around my neck, and instead of being pension provision, they're a drain, and I'm having to put money into them, and it's not money that I have. I can't sell them because the mortgage is higher than the price I would get on them, and there are several legal technicalities. This is a very scary place to be. Disabled, to have had to retire due to company policy, and not to have any capital behind me or a pension coming in was a scary place. Now, I don't know if this resonates with you. Maybe you're in a similar position. Maybe you don't have a pension, or maybe you're on a disability grant and not really coping. Or maybe you just need to earn a second income, a bit extra. Or you want to know financial freedom or freedom of choice, being able to choose what you do, when you do it, and where you do it. Well, it was about 4 months before retiring that I found a small post in a Facebook thread. It said something to the effect that if you wanted to learn to trade Forex for yourself, with all your funds under your own control, just send me a PM and I'll send you a link to a group where you can see what others are saying about this and the results that they're getting. Well, I PM'd the guy and said send me the link, and I was introduced to iMarkets Live, which is basically an educational program with hours and hours of training. It has its own TV site where you can get online with successful Forex traders and learn from them. You can chat to them while they're doing the trades. You can watch them mark up their charts, and they teach you to understand what is happening and what the market might do. There's an academy as well, with classes going from beginners to intermediate and advanced classes. And there are different ways for you to earn while you learn. One of those is swap trades, which is basically a very simple copy and paste. This is the pair. This is the range that you need to get in at. This is where you put your stop loss, and this is where you take your profit. And that comes to you on your cell phone or by an email. And if you want to, you take the trade. Well, we don't always win, but there's a far higher probability, if you are doing things correctly, to be able to make money from this. So I saw people posting amazing results. They were making money, and they were sharing what they were learning and doing and asking questions. It was fascinating. I watched every day, and after 10 days I couldn't stand it any longer. I wanted in. If they could do that, surely I could do that as well. So I joined, and in my first 2 months of trading for myself, I made almost $6,000. Well, I was totally hooked, addicted, and constantly learning what this forex trading thing was all about. I want freedom from anxiety about the future and financial worry. And I can see that financial freedom is possible, and it's achievable. And I will be able to make a living from forex trading and live comfortably for the rest of my life. I'm learning a skill that will give me that freedom for the rest of my life. And more than that, there'll be more than enough for me to live and to be able to give to others and help many others achieve freedom of choice in their lives. IML is the best forex trading and training that is available, and the people in it are committed to giving back and helping others achieve the same kind of freedom that they found. There is great help and support from others when you join iMarkets Now. If you're interested in what I've shared, there'll be a link to my Facebook page. Send me a message and I'll put you in the group so that you can see and take as long as you like to make up your own mind. What are these people posting? Is it real? And I think you get to the point that I did, where you can't stand it any longer. They're making money and you're not, and you want in. But it's entirely up to you. Have a look at what's going on and then contact me. And that's entirely up to you. So I want to say thank you for being with me for these few moments, and take care. And if you want to just have a look at what this is all about, just click the link below. Bye-bye.